What's up, chatters? It's your girl, Kathy Chit Chat, or your messy auntie. Make sure to hit the bell and subscribe. And before I get started, so I don't forget, Timbaland, the producer, you're a nasty motherfucker, and we're going to explain why later. But just like with everyone else, I watched Surviving R.Kelly and shocked, just like everyone else. But my issue with R.Kelly and his sentencing and the whole thing in its entirety might differ from others, and I don't like the selective outrage, and I don't like how we were missing a major component to the rise and fall of R. Kelly. R. Kelly has been extremely vocal about this. People in his family have been vocal about this. There's been numerous interviews, and R. Kelly was molested from the ages of 8 to 14 by an older female family member. Now, there were rumors allegedly that it was someone as close as his own sister, but that's never been confirmed. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, she might have even said, no, it's not me. But nonetheless, it was a woman that he was actually related to. Now, what happens in a situation like this, and this is not someone's opinion, this is actual fact. When sexual molestation and things like that occur, it alters you. R. Kelly went on to make a career surrounding sex. He also went on to make a career surrounding having control. And his growth was stunted at the age of 8. An older woman took something from him. He no longer had control. So it's no coincidence that he went on to be the older man that had to prey on women that were younger than him that had control. And this is a problem that we have in our community because he never got counseling for that. He never got help for that. Instead, he got a record deal, he got millions of dollars, and he then began to live out his pain and trauma by inflicting it on others, and everyone was missing that key component. Now, this is not to make him out to be an angel by any accord, but we have these issues in our family and our communities, and where molestation occurs in our families and it's never talked about. It's one of those things where it's like, oh God, let's just stay away from that nasty uncle, or I heard such and such touch kids. We ignore that. But this is what happens when we do ignore that. Predators are born. People are walking around here fucked up as a result. And I'm sorry, there's no coincidence why R. Kelly then went on to have an interest into women that were younger than him, and also the need to have control. Why? That stems back to when he was fucking 8 years old and a nasty older woman decided to fuck him from 8 to 14 and do nasty shit to him. Period. He lost control then, and he took it back on other people. So shame on his family for never getting him help, and shame on our community for turning a blind eye to things as serious as molestation, because it changes you and it fucks you up. So that's my first issue when it comes to this R. Kelly situation, how everyone just swept that under the rug like it's no big deal. No, that's actually a very big deal, and that's what started all of this shit. To see, that's what happens when when you turn it just starts off so small, and it's like, oh, it's no big deal, but then he went on to be a monster. So it is a big deal, and we can't laugh at that, and we can't think that that's a joke, because again, predators and monsters are born, and that's exactly what happened with his situation. Now, my second issue when it comes to this R. Kelly situation is Timbaland recently did an interview in where he wanted the world to know that he was in love with Aaliyah when he first met. Now, the problem with that shit is Aaliyah was underage and 16. This was a 23-year-old man, and even went on in that same interview to say that the reason why he married his wife is because she resembled Aaliyah. You, sir, are a sick fuck. See, this selective outrage, when men like that reveal themselves, believe them. Believe them. So that brings me into my second issue when it comes to R. Kelly. And I hate that I even have to mention baby girl's name associated with him, but that was the first. It just heartbreaking. Just heartbreaking. I've been hip hop since I can't even remember. I was one of those people in the crowd, Biggie and Aaliyah, and had Tupac had his services in New York City, I would have been one of them people out there too. When we have certain artists that touch our souls, like our souls, we gravitate, and Aaliyah was just one of that. I never met her, of course, but just to see her in interviews and hear the things, literally no one said anything wrong about her, and that's where society fucked up. Because you paired this monster with Aaliyah and everyone turned a blind eye to it. Everyone knew what was going on with Aaliyah and R.Kelly. But what happened? It was swept under the fucking rug, and what happened again? He went on to do more shit. Everyone knew what was going on. That was no secret. It was rumors. I'll never forget them two sitting on a Donnie Simpson interview. I'm showing my age now. If y'all never watched it, this interview was major because it was the first time that those two people wanted to know. And Donnie Simpson really asked this underage girl, what is the nature of this relationship? What are you guys, who are you guys together? Are you dating or what? And Aaliyah sat there and said, he's just my very best friend. And R.Kelly had to chime in and say, in the whole wide world. And then Aaliyah said, in the whole wide world. Right there, we knew it was a problem. Right there, we saw his control where he had to say in the whole wide world, making it known that no one is above me. And right there, we had another issue because why in the fuck would we ask a minor what is the nature of the relationship? Our industry is wicked. And it's sick that everyone failed Aaliyah in that situation. Everyone. You put her with this man at 15 years old who went on to marry her and do God knows else what with her. But what happens? It's annulled. It's swept on the rug. No one talks about it. And then R. Kelly gets to go on and win Grammys and write songs and then do songs with other people, and those people know exactly who they are, so there's no need to name names. You can see all the groups and all the artists that worked with him after this Aaliyah situation, all the record executives, all the music stations, everyone that interviewed, everyone that gave this motherfucker a platform at that. You were just as responsible, because in no way should we allow a grown man to marry a minor and then we go on to support him and then want to act shocked when Surviving R. Kelly comes out. How the fuck is everyone surviving when we knew exactly who he was? Now, I'm not going to sit here and act holier than thou because I was tooting and beating my asses right along with it, but I was younger at that time growing up and watching it. I couldn't be a 40-year-old or a 30-year-old, how old these people were around him when he married R. Kelly. Like, if I was that woman now, oh, I wouldn't be supporting him. You know what I'm saying? But I was just as young as Leah around that time. So the adults, y'all are disgusting. Everyone went on to have him write songs, and now you want to disown him. You weren't disowning him when he was writing your fucking hits and you knew about the, now you want to act shocked. Now you want the Me Too movement. But it wasn't Me Too when you was doing a song with him. It wasn't Me Too when you was doing a concert with him. None of that shit mattered then. But now we're outraged. But I wasn't outraged when I was getting those checks. So that's the issue that I have with this situation, because with R. Kelly, it's a lot of bullshit, and it's a lot that should have been discussed and revealed way before. He should have been canceled way before. All of these artists that had him write for him, the tours, the Best of Both Worlds album, let's not forget about that, but I'll leave that be. All these people went on to work with him, and then you want to turn your back and act like he's a monster. But guess what? He's always been that fucking monster. Now, I do believe the charges, some of them are bullshit. I'm not going to lie. That's my opinion. I think some of these women were opportunists, and I think some of these parents were looking for financial gain. Now, I'm not saying that's in every instance, because he's a monster, but I do think that there is some bullshit with some of the women, period. You'll never take that away from me, but he's still a monster. But I think that if I were the judge, I would have given him 5 years. I would have banned him from performing ever. So you can never perform, period. No concerts. I would have banned him from all social media platforms. You would no longer be allowed to have a platform, but I would still allow him the opportunity to express himself musically. And I would do a court mandated every week he had to meet with a licensed therapist. That was what I would have done, because he needs help at the end of the day. He needs help, and he needs away from the limelight, because that's what fed his ego. Money and fame is a hell of a fucking drug. And a lot of these people, once they get the both, they think they are bigger than everything. They are exempt from bullshit simply because you have the money and the fame. So I think that needed to be taken away. No more performing. Now none of these girls can reach you. You cannot go on social media, and you have to speak to a fucking therapist every week. And I would have sat his ass down in jail for 5 years. Because let's face it, there are some that are walking around that should have been charged way more. Period. And Trey Songz looks like he's headed that route. But we're not going to get started on that, because someone tried to warn us quite some time. Shout out to Kiki. And everyone acted as if she was crazy. And now we done had about 10 women come forward with these accusations. See, that's the shit that I'm talking about. When people show you who they are, believe them. And when there's smoke, there's always fire. And there was smoke years ago with R.Kelly, and everybody turned a blind eye to it. And now you want to act outraged and this is despicable. No, it was despicable when your ass was working with him and getting produced by him and going on tour with him. It was despicable when y'all knew what was going on with Aaliyah and no one stepped in and saved her. It was despicable then. Now y'all stay chatting.